Hi everybody, welcome to Make and Save 100. The topic for this discussion is Family Money 2, which is a continuation of an earlier episode of Family Money 1. We discuss financial abuse, preparation of will and succession planning. I have the honor and the privilege to introduce Eddah Ngahu, who is a corporate commercial and conveyancing lawyer. She will expound more on this topic. I am Hortensia Kanyo, your host. Listen to the end of the discussion to get all the nuggets. We are glad you have tuned in. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to this platform. Our guest for today, CPA Eddah Ngahu. I know she has so much for us. Last time we learned about the envelope system, where you pack your money in different envelopes. I was also in class, I learned a lot. And then when the money is finished, you don't go to another envelope. You wait until the end of the month, and then you jump to the other one. We also learned the JAS system. Maybe she will recap a little before she proceeds with today's topic. Share with us.
Hi everyone. Thank you for coming this morning. So Family Money 2 is a continuation of Family Money 1. First, I'll do a recap on Family Money 1. Then we look at money and behavior. We look at financial abuse. We look at securing your family. We look at building sustainable wealth, also building wealth and giving, and also wills and estate planning. So for those of us who we were together on Family Money 1, we handled the family goals on money, setting a family vision on money. We talked about saving, where we say what you save is your biggest tool to building your family wealth. Because if you are spending everything that you make and not saving, you will always be at the same place you were yesterday. The only way you can progress in your financial journey is when you are saving and investing. We also handle debt, where we say that we need to get rid of debt, because debt is your biggest disadvantage to building wealth, because you keep paying the debtors and you keep nothing for yourself, meaning you don't have a tool to build wealth. It's eating up on what you could be saving and what you could be keeping aside to invest. So we talked about getting rid of debt. We also talked about the tools for the family in regard to money. We talked about keeping records to monitor your spending and incomes. We talked about doing a zero-based budget, where each shilling has a name and it has somewhere it's allocated to, strictly followed. And we also explored the envelope system, which is a system where you deal with envelope, physical cash, and you only get to spend it for the purpose that you set it aside. And when the envelope is exhausted, you keep it aside and wait to refill it next month. We talked about managers, about allocation of finances, balanced, so that you're not spending too much on rent, too much on maybe your transportation, too much maybe on chamas, so that you're able to balance your money allocations among your key areas for the family, so that one area doesn't suffer vis-a-vis another one. We also handle the emotional aspects of family money, on who is in charge, handling personal versus family goals, where we said that you should not shelve your personal goals over family goals, rather find a way to integrate your personal goals to family goals. As much as you have a family, there's that personal urge to do things on the side, so you need to create that budget. Let's say you want to go back to school, their personal interests and hobbies you want to pursue and save for. You don't want to find that life really moved while we are so focused on the family and end up resenting the family. So you need to balance your personal as well as family goals. And it is not automatic that if your family goals or your partner's goals are same as yours. Everybody is different, and they always have different. First topic for today, where we are looking at behavior versus money. We agree that there is no progress you can make on money if you do not change your behaviors, because where you are today is as a result of your past, behaviors in relation to money. And that's why you are here today, where you are, where you think you are today financially. And for you to progress to the next step, you need to change what you've been doing. And the most important habit in changing your money and winning with money is planning. Even once you learn how to manage the small amounts of money, the shilling, the 10 shillings, the 1,000, then automatically you'll be able to manage their million. You cannot wait to get their million so that you can be able to manage it well. If you get 10,000 and spend all the 10,000, the day you will get a million, you will spend all the a million and even wonder where it went to. But if you learn as early as saving that something from that 10,000, when the million comes, it will be automatic. And it will not come if you are not able to, it will not make much progress if you're not able to manage what you have right now. You have to start where you are. Actually, the way the universe works is if you manage your money well, you keep getting more of it. Reminds me of the parable of the talents, where those 3 guys who are left with the talents, one decided to keep, one decided to bury, another one decided to invest, and it really grew. And when the boss came back, he even took the talent from the one who did nothing with it and gave to the one who had even more. God is just trying to tell us that if you take care of what you have, and he will bless you even with more. So how do you manage well? You plan. So you plan using those tools that we talked about, the budget. You do your goals. You have a plan for your savings. You don't just save for the sake. Your savings are to help you invest. You can't just leave it to fate. You have to plan every month before the month ends. You look at your goals, you plan. There are those of us who say you only live once, and I ask you, what if you are still here 30, 40, 50, 60 years from today, and you are not going to die tomorrow? What quality of life would you be destined for if you're only living for today? So you need to keep your vision really clear so that you can be able to plan and manage your money well. Actually, this COVID-19 period has taught us so much about money, and you can be sharing the lessons you've learned during this period on our chat section, because I know so much has really come out during this period. The next topic is financial abuse. You realize that other than debts, financial abuse is something that can keep you from attaining financial peace and freedom. You see, the debt that you incur, when any income comes, you keep thinking of paying. They say that the debtor is the borrower is a slave to the lender, and you never get something to keep on the side. But you could be winning with debts, but you're also facing financial abuse, which can also keep you from financial peace and freedom. Financial abuse involves the tactics employed by the abuser to manipulate, control, intimidate, or threaten the other party in the relationship in regards to money. In regards to this financial abuse, it occurs to anyone of any gender, not necessarily at ladies. It occurs to both men and ladies, people of different ages, people of different economic levels, the illiterate, the educated. And what happens is that such victims are controlled in relation to acquiring, using, or maintaining family assets and financial resources. The abuser usually creates dependence traps where you are fully dependent on them. They exploit the family resources. They interfere with maybe your job. They control shared assets. Let's say there are those things you share in common and you are not automatically allowed to use. You have to keep asking for permission. You have those are maybe joint accounts. Maybe you share a card. Maybe you share, and you feel control so that you don't have a say in your income. And such abuse normally weakens the ability for one to keep safe and stay financially stable even after leaving a relationship. And this is not even necessarily a marriage. Even boyfriend, girlfriend, any type of partner that you may be having in your whatever kind of family that you have. The majority of these financial abuses normally are coupled with domestic violence. You could find financial abuse without domestic violence, but it's rare to find domestic violence without financial abuse. And if we look at this period during the COVID-19 pandemic, so many cases like this have come up, where maybe a party has lost their source of income, and that's when you are exposed to a different environment at home, and especially for the men maybe who have maybe lost their income, maybe they were their sole breadwinners, and now suddenly the breadwinner role has changed, and you find resentment is coming, you're being overly controlled, there's threats and everything. That's also a form of financial abuse. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether you think financial abuse is prevalent for both genders, and especially as the economic dynamics are changing and both genders are going out to earn an income. So what are those indicators of a financial abuser? They tend to control all your income and access to cash or bank accounts. Could be you have accounts that you can't access. Yes, you're generating income, but you can't access. They're all controlled by one person. So your work is just to go out and then somebody else makes all the decisions without involving you. Another indicator is that such abusers tend to get angry when you spend money and need you to account for every penny that you spend, such that you find yourself having to lie because you're in fear of their reaction when you tell them about how you spent your money. Maybe you passed by and had coffee, had a drink, or something that you don't think they would approve of, and you would prefer to lie rather than face their reaction. That is also a form of abuse. Such abusers might also have so much say in your career so that they keep you dependent on them. They could decide how, where, when you work. They could show up at your place of work and harass you. They could tell you to stop working so that you're entirely dependent on them. They could prevent you maybe from going back to school and furthering your studies, meaning they have total control over your career. Such people may tend to spend money behind your back and keep you in the dark. So you find that they are spending, and you are not even aware of how the family income is being spent. You are just left to guess and not know anything. And when you don't know what is happening with your money, it's really hard to keep up with the journey to financial independence, because one of the things you need to do is you need to know everything about your money so that you can plan and manage it. But when one party keeps hiding and incurring costs that you are not aware of, it really becomes a challenge. They could also incur very big debts and hide them. They go get big loans, misuse the money, so they are servicing loans, which means they are limiting the income coming to the family, and you are not even aware about it. They could also be abusing your generosity and making you feel used. They keep wanting you to do things out of your way and blackmailing you or making you spend on things that are not even things that you agreed on in your family budget, and you have to keep going out of your way. And when you get to know that it's not just about giving when you really feel used, because if you are giving out of your need and out of your plan, you rarely feel used. But there are those people who are always there to do what the other party is telling them, do this, and you just feel you have lost total control of your income. They also lie about making payments and bills. They tell you they've paid such things, but in reality they've not paid, only for you to be surprised later by outstanding bills and payments. They might also require you to keep bailing them out of difficult financial situations, bad financial decisions, and then you have to keep stepping in to bail them out every time, each and every time. Bad business decisions, unplanned purchases, impulse buying, then they need to keep bailing them out. Some may insist that you share your income and they refuse to share theirs. And I think some ladies fall in this category. Some may require that large and joint purchases be in their name only. So you find that one person is dedicated to paying small recurrent expenditures here and there. When it comes to big purchases, which they do or may ask you to contribute, they will only allow it to be registered in their name. So such is also a form of financial abuse. How do you know that it is now too much? You now feel that it is impossible to talk to your partner about it. You have raised the topic enough times, they're not changing, and it has now started affecting your life negatively. That's when you will know that you are facing financial abuse. And at this point, you need to speak to someone. It depends if it's a counselor or you're a religious person or somebody you respect, so that they can advise you and guide you. Securing your family. There's this guy called Uncle Murphy who says anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So you need to plan for both the expected and the unexpected. What Murphy does is when you wake up maybe in the morning, you are late, everything goes wrong, you meet maybe you meet an accident, you are late to submit maybe your work, you encounter an angry client, the day just rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls. That's what Uncle Murphy says, when anything that can go wrong will go wrong. You attract a spiral. For example, financially, when now things start going downhill, one thing after another, after another. So that's when we say Uncle Murphy has visited. So what can we do? We try to make emergencies become minor inconveniences by planning ahead. When you have an emergency fund, when something breaks in the house, means you can go to this fund and urgently replace. When you have put up your medical insurance, when you become sick, you know you are fully covered. When you have set aside money for education, when it's opening day, you just go take money and pay school fees. It's no longer an emergency. Life insurance is also a good idea, so that in case you are not there, you are sure that your family and your children are not left to suffer, and that there's something to sustain them before they gain their ground. On retirement, this is not a surprise. You know, at 50, 55, 60 years, you'll be retiring, and your energy will not be as much. And especially those people in self-employment tend to ignore this. And you find that you don't have the energy to work and you don't have money. A retirement fund is supposed to take care of you later when you don't have the energy to work. A sinking fund is what I'd like to call a saving basket for all the future things that you might need. Maybe you are saving for new furniture, a car, or something that you need to do. You plan in advance so that you just don't ambush your finances with big purchases, then you end up incurring unnecessary debt. So setting these 6 things up will secure your family in regards to the family money. Here we are looking at a roadmap to sustainable wealth, where we are getting our income from wherever the source is. We are putting it on the table and living on less than we make. Whether the income is from employment or investments, we want to keep saving such that your expenses are always less than your income. And these expenses are always on a budget such that they are limited to what you can afford. Then the savings, we are distributing them to all those funds we spoke about. And most importantly, we are investing. Because investing is what will lead you to build wealth. And when you have wealth, that's when you're able to give. And I think it's the joy of everyone to give, and you cannot give when you don't have. So it is like the ultimate goal to build wealth. You are sustaining yourself, and you're even able to help other people in the society. As you are building a sustainable wealth, you are looking at your investments beyond tomorrow. Where we don't want you buying 10 plots at let's say where let's say like somewhere near some government projects, and then something comes up and they are all gone. We want you to distribute your wealth properly, plan it, and rebalance, and so that you are not exposed to so many risks. As we look at passive versus active investments, passive are those investments that are earning you an income while they don't require you to work there. Active are those that you need to actively manage. So you want to balance between those, such that even if you're not available to manage your active investments, you still have your passive, because you never know what tomorrow might be, and you might not be in a position to manage your active investments. So you need to have also passive investment. You need to identify personal income versus business income, and that your business income is not your income, but the business income that you need to earn from your business and separate it from your personal income, such that you see cases where people go down when their businesses go down because their personal and businesses finances are intertwined. So when one goes down, even the personal, when the business goes down, even the personal life suffers. You want to draw maybe a salary from your business, bring it to the table, allocate it like a personal income. Have your personal investments and business investments, so that these two are kept separate. You also need to balance your risk portfolio. As time goes by and you age, your risks keep changing. And there are those risks you can take in your 20s and cannot take in your 50s. You can take in your 30s and not in your 50s. So you have to keep balancing your portfolios, because even the time remaining to make income reduces as you age. So you cannot keep exposing all your portfolios to big risks at long term versus short term, such that you don't, if you buy long term assets and you get a cash crisis, you don't have to liquidate your long term assets and investments to the detriment of your returns, just because there's a something that has come up. You need to put also short-term investment that are easy to liquidate and get the money. So you need to balance. You can't keep tying all your money in land, and so such that when you need money, you are rushing to sell it. You can't get a good price, then you even end up not getting a good value for your investments. You need to periodically monitor, review, rebalance, reevaluate your investment plan, so that they can always be balanced in these areas that we have discussed. Regarding succession planning, you need to plan for when you are not there or when you are unable to be there. What happens to your investments? What happens to your business? Does it stop with you, or will it continue even after you're incapacitated or not there? Giving and building wealth. You should give, because giving makes you less selfish, and less selfish people have more of a tendency to do better in relationships and wealth building. You see, when you give, you are thinking about the other person. You are focusing towards other people and removing the attention from yourself. And it actually makes us feel better about ourselves. When you give, you feel really happy, and it's a natural confidence builder. So as you are giving, it not only makes you a better employee, a better husband, a better wife, a better child. Generous makes better businesses, better services, better leadership. It makes likable people. Mean people are not people that you like. They are not people who go out of their way to help other people. Those people who are generous have hearts that are content. And I'd like to hear your views about giving. So as you budget, you can set aside a portion of your income to give. How can you give? You don't necessarily need to give money. If you don't have it, you can start with even giving your time to people, talking to people and giving them hope. But as you are getting income, you can be setting a small percentage to give to charity offering. Christians, we believe that we should tithe, depending on your beliefs. But even if you're not a Christian, that doesn't mean you should not give, because the benefits of giving are not only to Christians, but are also derived by people who are also not Christians. So giving is very important. And as a family, you should also teach your children to give. For example, you give them, one way you can show them how to give, you can give the way you give them tasks and you pay them something. You show them how to allocate their money into percentages. You tell them, this one you can eat, this one we are going to give, this one you are going to save. So you can start teaching your children early these behaviors around money. For every income they get, they should not spend all of it. They should dedicate some to giving away and some to saving. And if you can teach them when they are still young, you can just imagine the advantages they'll have in life as they grow. They say that you reap what you sow. You also reap after you sow. You cannot reap if you didn't sow, and you reap more than you sow. If you plant one maize seed, you get a whole cob. It could be 2 or 3. What you sow is not what you reap. You always get more. And you cannot get if you did not sow. And you cannot sow a bean and harvest maize. So giving always comes back to you. It always benefits you. In Psalms, they say, those who are lavish and they give, they get more. While those who are sparing and do not give, that is Psalms 11:24. Luke 6 says, give and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be given to you. For with the same measure you measure, it will be measured back. This does not only apply to revenge. I know most people quote this for purposes of revenge, but it also picture it applying to giving. If it is given back to you in this measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, why wouldn't you want to give? On estate planning, this is when you're planning for incapacitation or death. Something might come up, you're not able to do much and you become incapacitated, or maybe you pass away. And we need to plan for all this wealth that you've been making and saving for your family. Unfortunately, most people are not organized and keeping their wealth in order, such that when they leave, some properties are not even known. They are misused, they get lost. And so it is important to keep updating a list of all your properties and investments. This includes all your account details. You can have a summary and keep them safely. Your insurance policies, circles, mutual funds, pensions, lands, houses. You keep a list and keep updating it, and then you keep them safe. Also keep your list of beneficiaries and next of kin details properly. And especially when it comes to pensions and insurance, maybe your pension, you had updated it 20 years ago and maybe you didn't even have a family. What happens with pension and insurance? The beneficiary details that you gave automatically get these funds. So if they are not updated and maybe you even gave this information before even you got a family, you might find these funds going to people who might not be the people who are in your life at the moment of your departure, because these ones are not subject to probate. They don't go through the succession process. These ones are automatically given to the next of kin. So you need to keep updating your life insurance, your pensions, so that they go to the actual beneficiary that you intend. Keep your list of beneficiaries, even those extra hidden children. At least have somebody who knows them, so that you can lessen the grief of your family when you are away. And I'd like to know how you are preparing for the inevitable. If you have ever thought about it. One way I know is through writing of wills. You don't have to be 60 or retired to write a will, because we all know that there is no date to when we'll be living. So we need to be keeping these things as long as you have something to your name. And you don't really need to have a property to write a will, even your wishes, how you wish your children to be handled, how you bury your wishes about everything that you have. This is where you write it in a will. You also put your distribution of property on the will, where you say, these are my beneficiaries, and each beneficiary will receive 1, 2, 3. Then you get witnesses, and these witnesses should not be your beneficiaries. They should be independent and are not benefiting from your property, who sign your will. You don't actually even need to visit a lawyer for this. You can even do it as long as you have your independent witnesses. And then you have the executors. This is the person who will manage the beneficiaries when distributing the properties. Then you keep it safe. I prefer you keep it away from where you stay, because you never know. And you keep updating it. You can update it as often as you want, even annually, so that everything stays in order. Another way you can plan for your death is through establishing trusts. There are 2 types of trusts. There's a testamentary trust and a living trust. Testamentary trust is one that becomes operational upon your death, meaning you will write a will and you set up the trust in the will. Everything is set up on how the trust will run, but it doesn't come into effect until you die. While a living trust is one that you create when you are alive, and you actually transfer all your assets in this trust. Then you appoint trustees to manage and control the assets while you are still alive. You appoint people to manage the properties and how to distribute the benefits of the assets. The trust allows the beneficiaries to benefit from the income of the assets, rather than without disposing the assets, such that even if it's your business, it can be able to continue running while the beneficiaries are benefiting from it. The advantages of a trust include this trust. Once you've set up everything in a trust, you will not be subject to probate, those formalities of court of going through the succession process and deciding who gets what. That won't be happening. It's also an advantage because when you put your assets in a trust, you protect them from unnecessary litigation and expropriation, maybe by your partners. You had joint businesses with your partners, and maybe they're eyeing them. When they're in a trust, you'll also protect them from wasteful beneficiaries, those people that you give wealth today and by the end of the week they've sold them, so they'll be protected. Another advantage is succession planning, where whatever business and assets that you've been having can continue to be managed by the trustees. The family is involved in managing these assets, and there's continuity in your business assets. It's also used by some people for confidentiality purposes, where they can use a trust to invest in shares, other companies, where you are unable to know the beneficial owners because they are hidden in the trust.
Thank you, Eddah. That was a very informative and enlightening session. Eddah, Sarah Botera is asking, how do I know that an investment is legit? And especially these government programs like affordable housing that are coming up. We have a project coming up somewhere in Parklands. I think that's what she's referring to. All the other government projects. That's a question from Sarah Botera. Eddah?
When it comes to investment, I always say research, and look for those people who have already done it, and look for information of people who are already involved in those projects, and ask from them what their experience has been. And that's the only way you can tell, because if you only rely on information from the vendors, they will never tell you the truth. The best thing is to engage those people who have been involved in this project. For example, for this government affordable housing, you could ask around for people who have already taken it up, and you'll get to hear their stories so that you can make an informed decision. Thank
Saying
you.
that she was referring to the Pagani, there's a scheme that is coming up, but I think you have touched that.
When it comes to financial abuse, the moment you start feeling, I am now fed up, you start becoming aware about it, and you start feeling that it's weighing you down, and that's the day you know that this thing is affecting you. And that's when you should explore on ways on getting a solution. And especially when you keep raising the issue with the abuser and you don't seem to get any solution or headway, that's when you need now to seek the opinion of a professional, somebody you trust who can guide and counsel you. The moment you become aware, just know it is now too much. Because if it's not too much, it won't be an issue to you. Back to you, Hortensia.
We have another one.
From the name, a living trust is one that is alive, meaning it is done when you are alive. So this is a trust that you can set up while you are still living, and it can still work while you are still there. In that, you can bring up all your beneficiaries, your children, you set them up as the trustees, you put all your property there, and they start managing it when you are still alive. And you find that most people who are now entering into retirement, maybe they are aging, and they want to see how, like to test the waters, how these things will be run when they are not there. They tend to do this. They live in trust, where they appoint trustees to run these properties, and they are just there to witness and supervise. While a testamentary trust only happens after you die. You will set it under a will. Once you die, it now becomes in effect after now you are gone. So that is the difference. Testamentary is after you are dead. Living is while you are living.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. We also have something on the sinking fund.
A sinking fund is what I'd call, you would call it like your saving place, where you want to make those big purchases and you need to plan for them in advance so that you don't go affecting your other expenses and your other investments. So you are saving maybe towards a house deposit. Maybe you want to buy a house and you need to raise a deposit, maybe to take a mortgage. You are saving. Maybe you are saving to buy furniture. You set up an account where you'll just be putting in money and saving towards it. Maybe you want to buy a car. Maybe you want to buy a property. So this is a fund that you've set aside to be saving, so that when that time comes, you just remove it from your fund and go buy. We are working towards more of saving and less of borrowing. Thank you.
I don't know whether you can get it, Eddah. Doesn't living become an additional cost? Like if you want to use it after retirement? It's not.
No, what happens when you retire, you are now drawing a salary from your retirement. There are two ways you can get your retirement. You can either get it lump sum, or you can be drawing a salary every month. So you are just ensuring that once you retire, you are having a constant income from your retirement fund. Actually, one way to calculate whether you have enough money for retirement is reverse calculation, where you find out how much you might be needing for your living expenses every month, then how much income you will be getting from your retirement fund, maybe what percentage will be applicable. So you find out how much you need to have saved by the time you retire for it to give you that monthly income that will sustain you after you retire. So you're just continuing to earn an income even when you're not working. So your expenses are covered by retirement fund. There's also another advantage of having a retirement fund. You can borrow up to 60% of your retirement funds for a mortgage for a home. So it can still work for you in that way. Thank you.
For that, We have another one from Duncan Mukora. At what age or at what time does one draft a will? This is about will preparation.
You can draft a will as soon as you have anything to give. So the moment you start accumulating your assets, and your assets involve even bank account details and your retirement savings and all that, you need to be having a plan on what happens when you're not there. Even as young as 25, you can start writing it such that you set timelines. Maybe you need to keep updating it every 2 or 3 years. You keep updating it and updating it. So you need to start it as soon as you can. You should not wait for you to grow old and retire so that you can do a will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eddah. I think I don't see any other question.
Managing of the pension comes at an additional cost. Yes, there's usually a fund manager, a fund accountant, who are assigned to these pension funds, but what they are the ones who invest the funds in the pension, so that they decide which investment vehicles they are going to invest in, and then they earn a fee, which is a percentage. So when it comes to sharing the benefits to the pension fund, what you get is net of the costs. So if they are telling you that your investment fund is earning, let's say 8%, that means maybe it earned 9 or 10%, and the 2% was for the management fees. So whatever is allocated to the fund is usually net of the management cost from the fund managers and the fund accountants. So what you get is net, and does not affect your drawings at the end. Thank you. I hope I'm clear.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's now addressed. I will request you to give your closing remarks, but before then, I'll ask my co-host Pauline. Pauline, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself and give a remark. She was a co-host of the background. And then Eddah, you can give your closing remarks, then we can come to a close because I don't see any other questions. Pauline, if you're ready, you can go.
Okay, thank you, Hortensia. I'd like to applaud Eddah. She's done a good job. I was very engrossed. Thanks God I didn't have an active part today because I've really loved the presentation. My take for the day is mainly on giving, because personally I've seen people who are wealthy and don't give, and it's a pity because as you give, you gain more. And also some people they give outside, but they don't give internally. Like you're very generous with outside people, but not with your family. Maybe charity should start at home. So as you give, also consider the people closest to you who might be in need of whatever you are giving before you extend it out there. And also in terms of planning for your estate, that is very good because most of us, like we don't want to think about the inevitable, but unfortunately it has to happen and it's good to plan for it. Thank you, and thank you for all people who have joined us today. We appreciate. Back to you, Hortensia.
Thank you, Pauline. Eddah, you can give your closing remark.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Eddah. Kindly applaud her. We can give her a thumbs up or a clap at the bottom. Yes, a clap or a thumbs up at the bottom. That was very informative. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Pauline. I can see you clapping for her, or you can also upload her on the chat. Thank you. Also, we have Asanteni Sana from Sarah Botera from the chat. And thank you so much for keeping it here. We come to the end of our session today and honored to have all of you. Thank you for making time to be here. And thank you. Thank you so much. Have a lovely Saturday and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you.